Hi, I'm Franco Luna, PumaPodcast. You're listening to Teka Teka News, balitang thinking, hindi breaking. In this episode,
under my lead, we will support and protect the rights of the media as they efficiently perform their duty. Whatever difficulties we may encounter from this point on, the government will always be ready to lend an ear and to listen to your concerns and to answer all that you may want to know.
That's President Bongbong Marcos in a speech before the Manila Overseas Press Club. He spoke just days after the shooting of radio man Percy Lapid, better known by his stage name Percy Lapid. Percy Lapid was shot by motorcycle-riding gunmen while on the way to work. He was alone, in his car, about to enter the gate of the private BF resort village in Las Piñas. The 63-year-old was known for his sharp commentary on the Duterte administration. The Presidential Task Force on Media Security said it would presume the killing to be related to Mabasa's work. But the DILG seems to think otherwise.
This is just an isolated case after so many isolated lang to. Kaya nandito nga tayo ngayon to show to the public, sa publiko, na ito'y kakatulungan ng kapulisyahan para masumpukan ka dito.
That's Interior Secretary Benher Abalos at a press conference on October 7. But Percy isn't the first journalist to get killed under the Marcos administration. The first was another radio man, Ray Blanco, in mid-September. Mabasa's last few videos were commentaries on former Executive Secretary Vic Rodriguez, former Presidential Bet Isko Moreno, and the Duterte administration. Here are the titles of some of his commentary on the former president. P. Duterte, uto-utong presidente. P. Duterte, walang paninindigan sa pambababoy ng China sa Pinas. And P. Duterte, certified na nuisance candidate sa 2022 election. Abalos has also since ordered police commanders to hold dialogues with journalists in their areas. Here's the solution he offered.
At sa mga journalists na nakikinig ngayon, huwag kayong mag-alala. No? Andiyan ang kapulisyahan ninyo, maaga pa lang, you're now trying to classify journalists, sabihin na natin in terms of threats. No? Kaya huwag kayong mahiya. If there's anything that you feel, kung may threat o kung konti pa lang, magsabi kagad kayo. Andito kami para malilihan, para tumulong sa inyo.
But the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines says statements like these still miss the point. Listen to what NUJP Secretary General Len Olea had to say about Marcos's response, or lack thereof. She says the administration could use a reality check about the day-to-day lives of journalists.
Of course, we can only gauge the sincerity kung meron ng resulta. So, in the case of Percy Lapid, dapat ma-resulta ito sa conviction not only of the gunmen involved, but more importantly, yung mastermind sa pagpatay sa kanya. And this is where our problem really is. Tuloy-tuloy naman yung media killings at hindi lang ito numero, yung 197 journalists and media workers. Alam natin, may pangalan yung mga yan at may pamilya sila.
The 197 pertains to the 197 Filipino journalists killed since 1986. We're pausing for a quick break now. When we return, we'll talk more about the issues Filipino journalists face every day. Percy Lapid's death drew outrage among rights groups, government officials, and even the international community. In a joint statement, the embassies of Canada and the Netherlands said, quote-unquote, "Journalist killings create a chilling effect that curtails the ability of journalists to report news freely and safely." These two countries are the current co-chairs of the Media Freedom Coalition. In the Committee to Protect Journalists 2021 World Impunity Index, the Philippines placed 7th in the list of countries where journalists are murdered and the perpetrators go free. For Len, the murder is just the latest proof that journalism is still a perilous job in the Philippines. The NUJP said it recorded 16 incidents of cyber libel, surveillance, harassment, red tagging, denial of coverage, assault, or death threats since Marcos came into power.
So nagpapatuloy kaya hindi siya totoong isolated incident. At medyo problematic yung ganong statement because I think that sets the tone for maybe absolving the state security forces from all of this. Again, the state has the responsibility to protect its citizens, including journalists. So sa kanila talaga yung bigat. And I think that statement only wants to maybe dilute the rage, the anger born out of the murder of Percy.
Len says it's even worse in the regions. Take the example of Calabarzon-based broadcaster Darcy de Galicia of Radio City 97.5 FM, who is facing 941 counts of cyber libel charges by Quezon Governor Helen Tan. That's actually a new record, mind you. The most libel raps a government official had ever filed before were the over 40 cases by Mike Arroyo in the 2000s. But there's also a lot the government hasn't done at the national level, not the least of which is actually condemning the incidents to begin with. Here's Len again.
Iba pa rin kung sa kanya kasi mismo nang galing. Dapat sana Bongbong Marcos Jr. himself condemn the media killing kasi doon nagmumula yung policy Kung ano mang sabihin ng Pangulo, yun din ang susundin ng iba pa. If he keeps his silence over the harassment, the online harassment, the red tagging, the attacks on journalists, he sends the message na, okay lang to, sige lang, tuloy lang tayo.
It's true. The administration never actually condemned the killing. In fact, the NUJP says the Marcos government has been cold to journalists in its first 100 days. Malacanang reporter Rose Novenario, who was sacked by the office of the press secretary in August, has since started getting death threats. Some of those messages even mentioned Percy's murder, Len said. Marcos, after all, has long made it clear that he has an axe to grind with critical media.
Ano yung fake news namin? Para sa akin, ako nabibiktima ng fake news. Dahil ang dami-dami sinasabi sa akin, hindi naman talaga totoo. Pina-fact check lang nila yung one side of the story. Hindi nila, yung kabila, hindi nila ginagawa. Kami, biktima kami dyan At maraming pina-fact check ako na sinasabi, hindi totoo yung sinabi ko.
That's what the chief executive had to say in an interview over One News during the campaign trail. So we leave you with Percy's own words in one of his last few episodes before his murder.
Sa media kasi merong sinusunod dyan merong panawagan dyan na do not shoot the messenger. Ang media, bakit mo titirahin? Nagsulat niya O nagsulat nga. Yung ba sinulat niya, merong basihan. May basihan naman Pag nagsulat naman ng media, may basihan Merong repercussion yan May consequence yan Nakakaharapin ka. Di ba?
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Presh Capistrano and produced by Kat Ventura. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend or two. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka and PumaPodcast wherever you listen. Thanks for listening.